Hello everybody and welcome to Encounter Roleplay. My name is Will, I'm a D&D sex icon, and I'm back today with a full cast and crew of The Long March for yet another episode of The Long March, as the name would suggest. But let's go around the cast and crew, let's figure out who we are and who we're playing today. And let's start with our Dungeon Master, Josh. Josh, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited. I have been working today on some stuff, and today is such a great day. Like, we have so much roleplay to do. I'm so hyped about it, so... let's get us kicked off, I guess, with the Long March. So let's go around and meet some of the cast and crew and find out who the poor saps are who are going through some trials and tribulations today.
Let's do just that. We have Lorelani over us tonight. Tia, how you doing?
She's muted. And she doesn't know how to do it. She's like, I know.
I was looking for the mute button. I was aware of what was happening. There was just nothing I could do about it. I am great. I was like, it's one of these windows. There's so many things going on here. I'm sorry. I've got my character sheet, my character background. We were just over on my stream. Hello, anyone who came from my stream. We're talking about Sarah and kind of working on her accent a little bit. But she is a 14-and-a-half-year-old fighter who comes from the land of Eider, and that in and itself is horrible. She's lived through starvation, death of her family, but she still has a heart of gold, and she's a little bit of a tomboy who's trying to prove herself. And I'm having a great day. I'm very excited because I got to eat my sandwich before we went live, so I have the power of sandwich in my belly.
Very proud of you. We also have Jess with us tonight, Little Cup of Joe. How you doing?
I am good. My camera is doing less good, but I am good. I'm a little stop motion today, so I apologize for that. I play Lucy, the war wizard from Breckendale, which is a very bad thing to be right now, apparently. She's going to be pretending not to be that thing and trying to survive with these interesting folks with which she's found herself in the company of. So we'll see how that goes.
And we also have Torschool with us tonight. Torschool, how you doing?
Well, how y'all doing tonight? I am doing good, and I am looking forward to a whole evening of roleplay, starting with a Long March. I'm playing Calvin. He is from the Freelands, and he is up here. He's a bard, just to come and sing some songs, find some fame, do all the fun things that you do here at the Shindig, where we are going to make ourselves king. So, yeah, that's me. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see y'all in just a few minutes.
Great stuff. As myself, I'll be playing Curtis, Iago Fearsome, the CIF. And he is a spy / diplomat, and he has taken Sarah under his wing of his entourage, and his friend Calvin's with him, and Lucy is also undercover right now because she can't be seen to be a Breckendale wizard. So we've got a deep ruse going on that we're all one big happy family who just happen to go to storehouses and places like that, as you do at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Indeed. Yeah. So, to shed a little context on that, should we do a recap of last episode and then do some plugs?
Let's do that. Quickly before we do, alrighty guys, we're sponsored by Fantasy Grounds, our virtual tabletop of choice. You'll be seeing some sweet, sexy Fantasy Grounds maps today. And also all the rolls, all of the images, all the tokens from Fantasy Grounds. You can check them out. You can try a free demo. If you like it, you can buy it. And after 60 days, there's still refunds. So 6-day refund period. So if you like it and it turns out you don't get along with it, you get your money back for free. So there's nothing to lose. Go ahead and do it, my friends. Also, we are sponsored by Wayland Games, where you can go buy sexy miniatures. So check them out. 20% discount, Warhammer lines, D&D lines, swag, bags, all this good stuff.
Wait, that's new.
What is that?
Swags and bags.
Swags and bags. Yeah.
Sometimes even swag bags.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's always new swag bags coming in, so it's very fun. But be sure to check out Wayland Games for all of that good stuff. Also, you guys can interact with today's show. If you haven't followed yet, hit the follow button and join us. Also, here is a tweet for you guys. 20 followers and 20 retweets. You guys get to decide what happens next in our campaign. So feel free to screw the players or help us out if you're feeling kind. And of course, you can donate to Fellow Game as well. Now ones, nat 20s, wild magic surges, and worse. have fun with it, my friends. But yes, let's go into a recap, and let's remind ourselves of what happened last week on the show. So, Josh, take it away.
Yeah, so last week we had the wonder of a family trip to a brothel, as you do. I don't really need to give much more of a recap. We've all done it. We all know what it's like. It's not something that's really relatable, which is what I love about this show. The party got together. They decided that they were going to go meet a local informant, a character by the name of Artie Remo. He is he was in a rather shady establishment called the Silver Serpent, which they knew nothing about other than they served drinks and assumed incorrectly that it was a tavern when they went there at 7:30 in the morning. Turned out, in fact, it was more of a sort of shisha lounge / brothel, which was interesting when they arrived with their 14-year-old daughter, traveling under the alias of being a family, having had to find the need to hide Lucy as certain things came up about her past and affiliations that she has. So yeah, they went to a brothel and they were told that they needed to, if they wanted an audience with the prince's spymaster, sorry, brain, Stavros, they would need to go through. They'd need to jump through a few hoops for Artie. Now, there's a big fair going on, a big sort of shindig to celebrate the coronation of the prince, soon to be king of this land. And if they want to get in, they need to go rob some elves or convince some elves to give over large quantities of food. And considering we're in a famine at the moment, food is incredibly valuable, as is sort of luxury food and exotic food. So that's your task. You have to somehow separate elves from food. And in exchange, Artie Remo has promised that he will find a way to get you into the castle and arrange a meeting with the spymaster so you can deliver a note that you have been given. I think that was pretty much everything, other than we found out that the world is pretty terrible at the moment. There is a plague that's outbroken in one of the kingdoms. There is a rebellion that started in Breckendale. There's just all-round terrible things are going on. So yeah, it's a good time to be alive, guys.
Beautiful. Well, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's fucking do it. So you guys having sort of had an interesting time at the shisha lounge. Not much custom in there at the moment because it's very early in the morning. But Calvin has managed to secure some form of work there after singing a little number, a little tune for Elizabeth, the lady behind the bar, and she has agreed that if he wants to come back and earn some coin while he's there, he's more than welcome to. He also had a quick chat with Artie and said that if he came back and performed, Artie would point out influential figures that were hanging around, sort of politicians who were getting their rocks off in this sort of rather den of depravity, as it were, and that would help them make connections in town. And while all this was going on, everyone was being distracted. Sarah bought drugs, because never take your eyes off a 14-and-a-half-year-old girl in a brothel that you invited her to when you're her surrogate father, because she might buy drugs. That's what we learned last episode. So, Will, you're a terrible father figure.
And Westminster. I have not assumed responsibility of fatherhood. I'm just... I don't think I'm even her legal guardian, so...
Winning at parenting right now.
Right, yeah.
What do you mean? I don't
pretend
Pretend fathering.
I don't need any parents.
Okay, so we just come out of the brothel, right? And we've sort of rejoined as a party.
Yeah, you guys are all together again. Sarah has managed to stash 10 sticks of something like incense, but not. Other than that, you guys have just come outside. The workday has begun quite a few hours ago for many of the crews that are still in the process of building a lot of the establishments. But there is a large sort of market area various different stalls and stuff that have already started, and you guys can certainly easily find the place you're looking for, as there's already a queue of people looking to get early samples.
So Curtis will draw us into a team huddle, somewhere quiet and say, okay, so if we want to meet with Stavros, we're going to have to steal some food.
Fancy foods, yeah.
From the elves. Yeah.
Well, why don't we just say that we got the fancy food and just buy some?
Well, it depends how much it's going for. Didn't he say it was free?
Well,
They have said that they're giving out small samples, but we're talking like it's going to be like like canapes as opposed to.
this is
He's wanting like a whole bunch,
service.
right?
You might get one bite.
I can imagine like Curtis just like with like all of the disguises, like fake mustache, and just going up time and time again, just like, I say, good sir. I'm a monocle this time. I'm entirely different.
Honestly, it's a different person entirely. Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of getting some free food, though, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a way for us to get there and kind of scout out what the procedure is. If maybe we stand in this line, get up to the front, see who all's manning the stalls, who all might be looking the wrong ways at the wrong time, type idea. Or we can go the honest way about it. I don't have much coin on me, but I'm sure the fancy stuff is not going to be, get restaurant type quantities ain't going to be easy.
Yeah.
That's even if they're willing to sell it at all, right?
I'm assuming that they're saving some of this for the actual coronation, right?
They've got to be storing it somewhere. If we can get in there.
Now you're thinking.
Are you suggesting we steal vast quantities of food in the middle of town?
It's not like it's going to the homeless or anything. It's going to people that are on the up and up. They can do without it. Maybe that's what he's trying to do back there. Maybe he's taking this food to the people that needs it. These people don't need it.
I think he's upcharging it for his clients.
Certainly. Artemis Remo isn't a stupid man. He's a businessman, which basically makes him true evil. But doesn't matter really. And stealing a whole lot of food is hardly the worst thing I've done. And after all, you're a wanted wizard now, Lucy. So
yes, thank you for the reminder.
They're gonna kill you anyway. So.
Right.
I don't think that's true. I don't think anybody's going to kill her. It's probably just some misunderstanding. But either way, we ought to hop to it.
Yes.
Curtis, you're going to scare her.
I know, that's the idea.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much.
Scared people are a lot better at stealing things.
Don't mind him. He just likes to make people think that he's more dangerous than he really is. He's just a big softy on the inside.
Yes,
Not
of
folk,
course.
Curtis.
Sarah looks up at him with, like, kind of sad green eyes, like, you're really pretending, aren't you, Curtis? Blink, blink.
That's right. I'm a big soft teddy bear.
Yes, we'll go with that. And I'm not going to think about the fact that you were carrying an ice pick around and past. Let's just get this over with, shall we?
I carry an ice pick with me at all times.
Wonderful.
In case he needs to have ice for his drinks, of course.
Yes, I'm certain that's exactly what that's for.
Yeah,
He likes
Goes
the
over
references.
Sarah's head as she's actually picturing him using it for ice, because what else could an ice pick be used for?
Yes, what else?
It's a bit far from the snow and getting ice. What do you need an ice pick for anyways?
I'll show you later.
She says that she's kind of like ushered along by the group.
Let's try.
Yeah.
Let's scout it out. See what's up.
Okay, so
I
you
guess
guys,
we'll kind of stand in line, yeah?
Yeah, I
as you
think that's
guys,
the idea, is to find this place and stand in line.
you guys should have access. You should be able to see the map. I can just
Thank
check
you,
my shared.
Colin. Appreciate it.
Yep, I can see it.
Yep, there you go.
I see nothing.
You see nothing.
you have to reshare fatigue.
Because she was late.
Yes. I wasn't late.
You were
the most sometime.
The wizard arrived precisely when he.
Oh whoa.
There we go.
Hey.
No. Look at this. Fancy.
Are we down the southern side?
Look at these fancy maps here.
So, you guys will be approaching from the western side, the road that sort of leads off from the map, and the place in question is. Let me just bring up drawing tools so I can mark on. There we go. Oh
Okay,
god, look at that. Look at that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What is going on?
Giant Calvin. I'm sorry. I thought that I was being helpful.
Alright.
Typical tour score.
Calvin's just trying to be helpful. That's all.
What is he doing?
In circles.
Spinning in circles. All right.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing nothing. Calvin's just having a little dance. He's so happy he's going to get some elf Frenchy food.
Oh yeah, that one's definitely French cuisine, didn't it?
Yeah. There we go. So we have a Calvin. So Calvin, just for the moment, can represent the party as you guys are moving your way sort of this way along the street. And it's actually up. I'll just draw on the map for you. So I'm very distracted by Calvin being Calvin.
My tiny Calvin. He's not tiny Calvin.
He's so small.
I love it. It looks like he's fallen over. It looks like he's fallen over. I love it. It makes me happy.
I like the detail on how you can scroll in these maps, though. It's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can zoom in,
That's
zoom
awesome.
out. I just keep getting smaller and smaller, folks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you can zoom in a lot on this. Holy shit! You can like enhance. Holy. Okay, I need to back it a little.
Hang on a minute. This is huge. This is too many pixels for my mind.
It's a twister. It's a twister.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It's all gone wrong, ladies and gentlemen. So we're just so excited. You guys will be able to see the building that's got the red box around it. Can you see the red box?
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Zoom out now.
That is the building where food is being served, and the queue literally sort of goes all the way down the street, round the corner, back towards sort of where Calvin is. You guys are queuing sort of all the way around the block, and every now and again you will see people transporting sort of like goods around. There's plenty of sort of shops and the like around this sort of area. This is sort of a marketplace, and a lot of the trading stuff is already open, whereas sort of like the events like the water polo and the sort of the sheep battling and what was it? Yeah, sheep jousting.
Sheep jousting, mud pit.
Yeah, mud pit, all that jazz. Is sort of still being set up. Like the stages aren't necessarily completed yet, but trade has already started, and you'd know that you can see sort of people who have sort of are on a break from building and constructing and stuff have come out to enjoy trade and the various different things. That's the most sinister cruel as well. It's just I'm just gonna slip on in here. So yeah, there are a few sort of residential places, but a lot of this is sort of shops from different areas.
Are there any other kids around?
Give me a perception check.
Ooh, crap. I actually need my character sheet. Skills, and then I click on perception, or is it the star?
No, click on the
number.
And then roll it.
Aha! Damn it. Boosh. That was not a good boosh.
That was not a good boosh. On an 8, you do see one or two kids around, but you don't see any groups of them playing. A couple of them sort of look around your age, some younger. but yeah, you don't see any sort of like hanging around in sort of big groups. A lot of them seem to be with families or are gone so quick you don't notice. Oh, let's get Lucy in here. I love this power. So good. Oh wait, how do I? There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
Do we just want to stand in line, or perhaps I should go and mingle with some of the other children and see if I can find out anything about these? You'd be surprised what kids can hear nowadays.
Yeah, no.
I was just kind of thinking the same thing. Shall I stroll around and see what I can must see what I can rustle up just by being charming?
Yeah, why don't you guys go around and we'll stay in line and you guys see what you hear.
Okay.
I'm
so,
going to make off like a kid having fun then and head off.
roll me deception. As
yeah, I'm just a kid having fun.
on a 13, your eyes are slightly dead, but you try and smile. You try and remember fun. It's been a long time. Sarah runs off, and pretty quickly you find that sort of between the various stalls and various sort of places that have been set up, there are kids who are hanging around, who are playing various different games, like they're playing, tag, stuck in the mud, that sort of thing. Stuck in the mud is taking a very literal sense here, as there is still quite heavy flooding around, but it's still spitting, but it's not full on raining anymore, which is nice. You're keeping a lot drier than you were. But we've got the happy couple are queuing. Let me just get that right. Yep.
That's right.
Okay. And then Calvin, where are you heading?
I figure I'm going to just start strolling. Maybe like I go straight down this sort of greenway here between the buildings. I mean, if it's where people are mingling, I'm kind of going to just head around and start singing songs. I also am trying to get an eye at whoever's coming out of the elves' place. What exactly what they're eating on, what they're saying is good, what they're saying is crap. What's escargot ain't for everybody, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, give me a perception check as you sort of hang around the general vicinity.
That's a 14.
On a 14, a lot of what they are getting, a lot of people are getting excited about is fish and seafood, that sort of thing. Elysium is one of the few kingdoms that has a coastline to it, and they have huge harbors. They bring in fresh fish, shellfish, and other things like seaweed and delicacies from the ocean that just you don't get in a landlocked place like Rivercroft or Breckendale. So a lot of the excitement is coming from that, but there's also quite a lot of spice. Food in Rivercroft can be a bit bland. I think sort of a lot of stew, kind of watery, a lot of vegetables and stuff like that. But they're sort of bringing in a lot of exotic spices and flavors, and that's really getting people excited. Like, food is actually something that is quite, it's not such a big deal in a place like this. It's more, you eat because you need to eat. Whereas in Elysium, food can be exciting, it can be vibrant, and there's a lot of energy on that. On a 14, you will also notice that the building next to it, the building on the left of it, appears to be some kind of storehouse. And you can see round the back, every now and again, there are elves sort of making their way to and from the buildings. It appears that they are bringing in supplies from there. And having a peek around the front, you'll notice that the front door is barricaded shut. Well, not barricaded, but like it is locked. It's sort of a proper door. And these are not just knocked up buildings in sort of a few minutes. These look to your eye as if they've been here either a long time or were created by extraordinary means, as opposed to just sort of the other slapdash buildings that are around.
The rest, as the player, Tall Skull looks at the rest of the party. Do you trust me? I got an idea.
I'm nowhere near you, so I don't.
How far are? Can I find Sarah, because she is a part of this plan?
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, give me just a straight charisma.
Ooh.
On a nat one, you find Sarah has sort of you started a conversation, Sarah, with like some of the local kids, and immediately they take one look at you and they just no interest in you whatsoever. How does Sarah take this sort of being shunned and sort of pushed away?
She probably would try to bully them into paying attention to her. Like,
Yeah.
why are you turning your back on me? You think that I can't hang out with the likes of you? I've got something that I can prove to you.
As you come around the corner, Calvin, you find Sarah basically has like one of the guys, like one of the boys of this group, sort of like up against a wall, and is like holding a fist menacingly in his face. You see that a bunch of the other kids have run off, and there's just one or two of his friends standing there who look like they're ready to sort of. They probably have only not hit her because she's a girl, and they're sort of hesitating for that reason. It's a fight about to kick off.
Sarah. Oh,
What?
Excuse us.
Go on and run then. It's not like I wanted to hang out with any of you anyways, dumb kids. And walk over to Calvin.
Sarah, we're how do you want to put on a little show here?
What do you mean?
All I need you to do is scream and act real darn concerned. And if you think you can do it, you think you can.
What, like right now?
No, you'll know when it's your turn. You'll see me make a whole big fuss, and then I need you to make a big fuss too. And if you don't mind doing it, and do you know how to?
I think that I could be quite good at theater. I'm not really much of a screamer.
Have you ever had to? Have you ever eaten something real bad and had to make yourself throw up afterwards?
Oh, plenty of times.
Yeah.
Pretty much any time Dad did any of the cooking.
There you go. So what we're going to do, we're going to make a little bit of a scene out here, and maybe make that fish a little less desirable, if you get my drift.
I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to pull the wool over their eyes, are you?
Yep.
All right, then, let's do it.
So hold on for a second. I'm going to go see if I can pay some money to get some of these samples off of some folks, so we've got the right props for our little act out here.
Do you need some money?
No, I've got some, but thank you.
All right.
You just wait right here.
All right.
And I'll wait for Josh to get back so I can.
That's so good. He'll be right back.
Yeah.
I hate the chat has already caught on to my plan. I'm not going to sell drugs to children at all. What are you talking about? Oh, shit. That's fine.
This is fine.
Back in the line, Curtis will be like, I really hope those two don't get into too much trouble. It's like a deadly combination.
Don't you think that's asking a bit much of the two of them?
So not get into trouble, and I guess you're right.
Sarah by herself seems like she could get into some trouble. Given her age and all.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. She looks like she could play nice to the other kids.
In what way, exactly?
I don't know.
And in what world?
I don't know. Don't all kids just like run along and do drugs and stuff?
None that I've ever met, but I'm beginning to think perhaps my upbringing was not the norm. I was inside of a library most of my life.
Oh. No, well, we didn't have a library in my village. We just had sticks to beat each other up with.
Oh, that's... sounds, active.
Well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't exactly fine, noble living, but, yeah, my parents didn't really have that much, so, you know, sticks were pretty good. We didn't have any books.
Of course. Well,
I do know how to read, though, so...
That's good. I would never have assumed you didn't. You seem intelligent. More than intelligent, actually.
Yeah, that'd be
Perhaps too clever.
No such thing. You're the clever one here, Lucy. You got the smarts.
Well, I know. I have done a lot of reading. Not much of this.
Reading's good, up to a point. And then you have to
Yes.
start doing. And that's where I come in.
That is apparently where we are now.
And you see, what I can do is use that reading of yours, that knowledge, and put it to effective use in certain scenarios and situations.
Of course. Well, we're all in this together, so I'm happy to help wherever I can. As long as you don't, decide to change your mind and turn me in or something.
No, you're far more useful to me alive. That was a
It's
joke.
good to hear.
It's a joke.
Of course.
Seriously, though, keep being useful.
Naturally.
What kind of scream do you want me to make? Is it like an ah, or is it oh?
A little of both, but first I gotta get a few things lined up. So just stay here and get ready to look really, really sick. So
right.
a couple things, Josh. I'm going to take a look around and see if there's anyone who's looking like official guards, things like that, sort of a uniform type armor that that there's people wearing around here. Something that looks somewhat semi-official, not necessarily, nobility or someone's very specific armor, but sort of a general armor that might be, for being used, in the area by the folks of Rivercroft, like a Rivercroft tabard and armor set that might be, done by the government. They're like guards who wear such things, or you're muted.
You are muted.
So I was actually doing an impression of Laurelania.
Hey.
You can give me a quick perception check. You pick out the guards relatively easy, but let's just see if you pick up anything else on them. On a 22, you would you have a look around. You spot a couple of guards. The thing you'll notice about them, though, is that what they have is essentially they have the colors of Rivercroft, which is blue and green with a little gold detailing. And generally, it's nothing too fancy or flamboyant. They're not sort of. It's just a cloak, essentially, that is held on with a pin across both shoulders. But looking at them, you've got an eye for mercenaries, and you would recognise that the bulk of the local guard force here, at the very least, seem to be mercenaries who've been contracted. So they've gone sort of the cloak of Rivercroft. But these guys probably aren't full-time guards. This is just the gig they're running while they're here. And considering a lot of this is temporary, a lot of the buildings, the market stalls, everything is only here for the big shindig with the coronation. It's likely that they are supplementing the actual guard force. So you can spot a few people around, but you guess most of them probably won't be local.
Okay, cool. then the other thing I want to do, I want to try to find a couple of people who have just gotten their samples of their food and approach them because I want to buy me some samples.
Okay, so you're looking around for someone who's just sort of come out.
Like who's just gotten their plate, hasn't quite tucked in yet.
Okay,
that's what I'm looking for. 2 servings.
Okay, right. So you see actually a couple who, unlike Curtis and Lucy, look like they really are on their honeymoon. They come out. She's very finely dressed. He looks like he's part of the sort of the construction crew, but he's quite well kempt. He's shaven, but he's got a little bit of stubble that is nicely styled, long blonde flowing locks, which is sort of slicked back, and you can see that he doesn't have that kind of gnarled, weathered look to him. He looks a little too soft-skinned to be part of the construction crew. And then his wife is wearing a very, very lovely dress that's sort of long and flowing, but she's got it hitched right up and is wearing the equivalent of Wellingtons as they come out sort of giggling to each other, very much in love.
So I start immediately playing on my lute, just a nice sort of happy song talking about love and newlyweds and all that type of stuff. Yes, the flowers bloom and everything's beautiful.
The second you start, they look at each other. He looks at you. She looks at him.
It's our song.
She goes bright red. She's just like, "Did you organize this?" And he's just like, looks at you, and he gives you that pleading look to play along. And he's like, "Of course, darling."
Oh, and I so do. And he arranged something special just for you. It's your first dance together right here. Everybody's watching, so we can show you how much love. Just give your plates to my little assistant here, and so Sarah can take the plates.
They both hand the plates off to Sarah, and they begin to dance. And it's a little awkward because sort of like they're still up to their shins in like mud and water, and like they stumble a little, but they're blushing.
As that's happening, I said, "This isn't just a normal dance. It's got some magic too." And I cast levitate, so they're dancing. Love makes you dance like you're up on the air, light as a feather. It lifts you.
He holds her close and is just lost in the moment. It looks like you've seen a lot of people dance in your time. You're a bard. You're looking at this guy. He looks like he's really concentrating on trying to remember the steps and hasn't realized that he's not touching the floor anymore. Her, on the other hand, she's clinging to him for dear life as her legs suddenly aren't touching the floor. She looks panicked and then overwhelmed and just, and he's just like, "Yep, yeah, I'm good. I'm real good." Hasn't noticed he's floating in the air yet. And people around.
I'll even do the, and then I do a little, as big flourish at the end. I cast fairy fire. So there's a burst of glitter and light all around them. And,
I'm eating some of the food while this is happening off of their plates. I don't give a shit.
Don't eat it all. Don't eat it all. But no, it's perfect that you actually did a little bit of that, because then we sort of let this come to an end. And at the end, when Sarah's done that, I look at him. I'm like, I'm so sorry. She was hungry, and then I'll give him 10 gold so he doesn't make a fuss.
I'm all about it too. I'll play the whole I was a kid, like, look at me and look at how emaciated I am, and I couldn't help myself, and because
it's like I'm so sorry that happened. Here, let me make reparations to you, and just so he doesn't make a fuss at this point.
Yeah, he reaches out to take the gold, and she slaps his hand away, and it's just like, you can't. He just performed for. I just thank you so much. That was beautiful. And you remembered our anniversary, and he's just there like, yeah, I do.
He wanted to make it real special, he did. I'm glad that it's so romantic.
he's just dead-eyeing Sarah as she eats his food. He's just like, but she's just overcome with emotion. And she's turning to other people. Like,
oh, you all just have a wonderful day here, and the skies will be blue for you in no time.
Okay.
So
Skies blue.
So I grab Sarah, and I want to sneak over into the alley real quick.
Yeah.
I, using my glamored leather armor, change it into with the cloak blue, and I actually even put in the center of my chest the royal seal that we know from the bag that we got.
Okay.
And I get one of the plates. I get one from Sarah. It's like, here we go, and we go around the corner, looking like we're walking down the aisle, walking sort of down the line, and using my actor feet, I start looking like I'm starting to get sick, and I cast Minor Illusion on our plates of food and have all sorts of little worms and maggots and little little crabs and like sea lice come bursting out of the fish on our plates.
What? I don't even need to act that. This is fucking disgusting.
Do you want me to make a roll
she's
for
terrible at acting. She has no idea what she's doing.
I was gonna say you're gonna see this on your plate. These horrible little sea lice.
Well, she freaks out and would probably actually drop the plate because
horrible.
Sarah's not that familiar with magic, right? So she'd be like, "Oh, ah, ooh, ah!"
Yeah, drop the plate.
Over the top. As much commotion as we can manage.
Yeah, of course.
And definitely want to look like I'm an official person, so I'm not just some weirdo. It's like they poisoned one of the guards.
Yeah, so you guys okay, so right, how are we gonna do this? I'm gonna need from school, I'm gonna need give me either an Arcana or a Deception.
So yeah, my actor skill gives me advantage on deception checks or performance checks when I'm trying to impersonate, when I'm trying to act.
Yeah, absolutely. So give me, I'll give you that there. But also give me an Arcana just to see how sort of like spectacular your Minor Illusion is.
Okay, so you want deception or perception? Deception or performance? Either one.
I'll let you pick.
They're both the same. So anyway, I've got advantage. Let's see what happens.
Oh, that'll do.
20.
That'll do it.
And then the Arcana piece is just a 5 on the Arcana, but my acting, of course, is the best part of the whole thing. So
okay, you give me
my voice completely changes into like a voice of nobility. Oh. Goodness! Oh my God! What is this? Oh, what has happened? What is it? And I like raise up my arms, and there's like these horrible, slimy, like sea lice and things crawling down myself. The elves, they've poisoned me.
I kind of get caught up watching him in his brilliant performance. Oh yeah, me too. Oh, me too. Oh yeah, me too.
Sarah, give me a. You spent 20 gold pieces on death sticks. Just
thank you.
Saw that. Give me either a performance or a deception check, Sarah, as you're acting alongside him.
That's all good.
Shit.
We are the actiest of actors.
Fucking chaos breaks loose in the room. It breaks loose, even though Curtis and Lucy are having a very sort of awkward but coupley conversation. You guys are around the corner, like you're not even there yet, and suddenly you hear screaming coming from down the line, and like a ripple of unease passes through people who are queuing in front of you, and you see a couple of people like leave the line, and the queue shortens very quickly, and suddenly, there's just anarchy breaks out, and guards are rushing over, and you see someone
The screaming
It's so good.
Awesome.
Just a moment, please, for the for those screams. So yeah, you hear production. So you hear like all this sort of chaos erupting up the line, and Calvin sees a couple of guards come around the corner, and you see them like half draw their swords, and then realize there doesn't appear to be anyone being attacked by anything. And one of them sheaths his sword, runs over to you. Again, looks like he's a mercenary as opposed to an actual guard. But he takes one look at you, and he places a hand on your shoulder, and he seems to be, instead of paying attention to your arms and everything, and all the cat and like the sick, and like Sarah's just like retching up next to you. He doesn't pay attention to any of that. He looks straight at the sigil in your chest, and he goes like pale, and he's just like, turns to the guards and says, secure the area, lock everything down, like clear all these people out now. And immediately, like, people are pushed back, guards draw their swords, everything, as and he turns to you and like grabs you, and he's just like, are you okay?
I sort of looked. I look at him and I'm like, I think I'll be fine. Thank you.
We've got to get you checked
whatever
out.
they've brought has gone bad. It's I sort of throw the plate to the side, and I kind of make it look like the little lice go scurrying off. He
looks at it sort of like, just looks, but doesn't really pay much attention. There's imperfections in it, but you've done such, like, you draw focus amazingly well. And he's sort of like, looks really overwhelmed. And you get the feeling, you get by his accent that he's not a local. You've got an ear for accents, sort of being able to switch as an actor and a bard who's traveled. He's not local, and he's sort of like really looks overwhelmed. He says, we've got to get you back up we've got to get you to the castle. Commander, we have to go now. Like, if someone has genuinely tried to poison you, let's go. It turns in, points at her, and it's Sarah, and it's just like,
I was like, I'll just say she's my what's it called? A knight's
Squire.
Squire. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are we near enough to hear what's going on, Josh?
I'm good. Chaos has erupted. I guess you guys would move
I was gonna say,
up
chaos
to sort of
erupted. Curtis
investigate.
probably
Sure.
knows.
Give me a perception. Give me a perception check, because guards are pushing people back, or you can try and make your way around the back, and you can give me a stealth check.
Do you want me to go and check on the horses, my lord?
It's a 14
and
stealth.
get the rest of our retinue.
Should I make a
that
check
would
as
be-
well?
Yeah, if you're going with him, give me a stealth check.
That'll be really funny.
Okay, so 11. Let me roll for the guards.
I want to take the opportunity to disappear away from Calvin so I can grab the others so we can go circumvent to, like, where everything is before the guards go and lock it down and be like, this silo is under our control now. Rah, rah.
Oh, damn. On a 19 at disadvantage. Making it a 19 at disadvantage. The guards see you, like, immediately. They've already secured, like, both ends of the alleyway that Calvin and Sarah are in. They have weapons drawn. They're not gonna, like, they're not, like, cutting people down, but they turn around to you immediately and just say, I need you to stay back, sir. There's been an incident.
What's going on?
Nothing to worry about. It's all under control.
What's happening? Why are people screaming?
Just, I need you to back
listen.
off.
My wife and I, our daughter is through there.
Yes, we've got to get in there.
Give me a deception check.
Let's see, it's a plus.
Do I have
Plus
line of
8.
sight?
You lying bastard. Oh, 26! He looks at you, and you get the feeling that he's probably got kids of his own, because you say daughter, and you see that sort of connection in his eye. And he glances back, and sure enough, there is a little girl in the alleyway, and he says, what was your name? What's your name?
Iago.
Iago. Okay, and he says, wait here a moment, and he leaves his work colleague, his fellow guard here, who sort of like stands blocking as much of the not corridor, alleyway. I was thinking corridor to myself, and yeah, he blocks off sort of the alleyway as one of the guards rushes over, and as you guys are talking, as Sarah and Calvin are talking about sort of should Sarah go check on the horses, he rushes over and he says, "Little girl,
What?
is your father's here? Is his name Iago?"
Wave.
Sarah's like the hope in her
eyes.
eyes turns on for a second as she thinks her actual father is there, you piece of shit. And then she realizes it's Iago, and she tries to hang on to that hopeful daddy's here before she realizes the crushing realization that she's probably never going to see her father again. Oh, yeah, that's me, da.
So, he looks back to the other guard and he waves him aside and gestures for Curtis to join. As the first guard who was talking to Calvin, who seems to sort of be in command of this patrol, is just like really worried looking, and he looks and says, "Commander, we have to get you back to the castle as soon as possible."
I just look at him and say, "Yes, let me just catch my breath for a moment so I don't make a spectacle of myself." You know, kind of acting like I've got sick and stuff over me. Just give me a second. Because of the sort of the orientation of things, as Curtis comes forward, do I have line of sight on Curtis?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I, under my breath, I point my finger at him, or actually point my lute at him, and cast message, and go, now, you still get that stuff off those elves. This could go south real fast, and you might need to come get me, but I'm going to the castle, I guess.
You want me to come with you?
I think we might need you on the outside, because I got a feeling this ain't going to turn out too well. I might need someone to break me out.
Okay, take Sarah.
Yeah. I told him that she was my squire. I don't know how good I'm going to be able to keep this up, but we'll see. And
you guys sort of like look like you're muttering to
yeah.
Calvin looks like he's catching his breath. Curtis looks like he's worrying over his daughter.
Can I just start crying if I think that they're going to like pay too much attention to what Calvin's
you rolled
doing?
a 20. You rolled a 20 on your performance. You bawled your eyes out.
If he starts paying too much attention to Calvin, I'm just like,
Lucy's trying to console her.
I'm gonna hush, try and hush her up. I'm gonna hand a vial to Sarah, and kind of as I go in to hug her, I whisper and I say, "Give this to Calvin. He'll know what to do."
all right.
So, Sarah, you can add to your inventory a cloak of the Rivercroft Guard, as the nearest guard just absolutely sweating with panic because they were not these guys aren't local. They don't know all of the local laws. They've just been drafted in to keep the peace, expecting fights over food and stuff like that. But the potential that a high-end establishment is poisoning commanders of the Royal Guard, that's a big deal. And they're not necessarily ready for this. So you have a cloak draped over you. It is way too big for you, but it is an actual solid cloak. It's the real deal. And it is a guard's cloak of Rivercroft. So there you go, Sarah. That's something for you to add to your inventory. And he sort of he tries to fold it so it doesn't drag through the water so much. And he's just there. Everything's gonna be all right. We're gonna take you into the castle. You're gonna be okay. All right. Don't worry about it.
You mean that I get to go to the castle?
Yeah, no, of course.
I've always wanted to go to the castle.
Yeah. It's I kind of do the new squire. First time leading a family.
Yes.
He nods and he's just we're going to take real good care of her. to Curtis. He's like, Yargo, you don't need to worry about anything. Is there somewhere we can find you? Where are you staying?
Of course. I have lodgings at the Silver Serpent.
Do you mean the Drowned Man's Refuge, the Silver Serpent's brothel?
I mean,
Yeah,
Respect for the family man vanishes in a second. He's like, you're not living in a brothel.
These guys know
Stay
what's
on the
over
serpent, eh?
Excuse me.
Yeah, no. Yeah, the Drowned Man, whatever it's called. Drowned
Drowned Man's Refuge.
Drowned Man's Refuge. Yeah.
Yes,
I have lodgings at the Drowned Man's Refuge. We won't be staying in town for very long.
He nods. He says, "We'll make sure she's. Well, we check in and let you know how she's doing."
Of course. What's your name, sir?
My name. Oh,
Don't you hate that? Don't you hate when PCs do that?
What's your name?
Bob.
so I had
Random.
It's Gorbert, sir.
That's a grand name for it.
It is indeed. Just
Thank
Gore
you.
for short.
Thank you so much. Very much appreciated.
And Mr. Pokey is given a boss monster to be used by Josh as he pleases. Thank you, Mr. Pokey. Appreciate it.
As we split the party, wonderful. Absolutely beautiful. So,
when they go off, me and Lucy are gonna take a hand and kind of go around the back of the street, and try and get to the red house where the elves were.
yeah, okay, no problem. So, we'll start off with Calvin and Sarah, who are led with an armed escort through the streets, and like this guy is like basically like rubbing shoulders with you, Calvin, like, and he has his like sword. He's drawn. All the others sort of sheath their weapons, but keep sort of like hands on hilts. But he has his sword drawn as sort of your close protection. This Gorbert, and he the whole way he sort of says do you know can you tell us anything else? I mean, no one else seemed to be sick. It sounds like it was an attempt on you personally.
I can't say for sure. I saw that they had brought a new barrel of seafood in. Perhaps it had just turned or got infested, but I sort of look at him conspiratorially and sort of whisper, I hear the mages in Breckendale have been up to no good.
He nods slowly and then says, begging your pardon, sir, but why would the maid... actually, forget I said anything. It's not my place to pry, sir. And seems to sort of think better of questioning it and just go, like, takes his superior's sort of word for this. As you guys are whisked sort of through...
Can I make any kind of insight check on that? On how he's stumbling over that? Like, he wants to talk about it or doesn't?
Yeah,
like,
so
that is...
Check, yeah.
Wow, 27.
On a
I have a
20
+9 on insight.
On a 27, this guy is quite clearly curious to see why they'd be interested in killing one of the royal guards here, and sort of who this man is, because it, like, there's got to be something about Calvin that warrants an assassination attempt, and it might be more than just, you know, his station.
I don't think that it was much of an attack on the crown or any one particular person. I think that they're just trying to attack the might of His Majesty, and it has nothing to do with my lord here.
I look down as though this is why she's my squire, yes? Just to sow chaos at the coronation.
He nods and sort of gives Sarah a look to sort of... looks a little surprised at such an insightful sort of political opinion comes from someone so small, and says, well, I mean, chaos is certainly something that mages do well. I wouldn't like to run into one myself. Finger guns back to Lucy, and yeah, he looks troubled by this, sort of loses himself in his own thoughts. As
I'm going to risk it. Regardless, I should report this in to Stavros, as he has his finger on the pulse of the doings in the surrounding kingdoms. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I didn't hear the last thing you said. You cut out.
I was saying that I'm going to try to. He's gonna, Calvin's the guy who goes all in. He's basically gonna say, regardless, I should report this incident to Stavros, as he has the most information about the surrounding kingdoms and potential threats to the coronation.
Without any need for a roll, you look at a man who's out of his depth, doesn't know local names or anything like that. But any doubt that he had in his mind that he could possibly have about sort of like who you are, you know the names, you're wearing a uniform, you know the area, like you're thinking like upper echelons, high command sort of big scope, whereas he's thinking, wonder if that kid over there is a pickpocket, or sort of like you're in different echelons. So he just sort of like goes quite quiet, and all conversation sort of from his end stops any inquiries or anything like that. And he just looks like he wasn't prepared for this when he woke up.
At that point, I'm going to have to play the game of looking like I'm leading, but actually following, because Calvin doesn't know where he's going. So at this point, it's going to be that weird dance of, looking like I know where I'm going, but kind of doing the whole thing of having him, as though, he's to be my, announce me or whatever. But I'm not going to like demand any of that, but I'm going to play upon his own insecurity that he's suddenly out of his depth to accidentally lead me where I need to go.
I can aid on that by being a bouncing child just around and just being like, hey, look at me. I want to go here. I want to look at this. Like, what does this mean?
Stopping and be like, we're going to... Yeah. You need to learn your place.
Yeah.
So I keep stopping and letting them kind of like...
So Sarah will run ahead, and if she runs in she starts going in the wrong direction, she'll generally... the guards try and keep pace... And they're trying. There's only 5 of them, and they're trying to keep one next to you and sort of at least one on every side. But the guy out front is just having to run a marathon after Sarah, every 30 seconds. And occasionally Sarah will go to run the wrong way, having no idea where she's really going. And he'll be like, no, we get this way. And Calvin,
which gives him a more powerful stride.
Then walks confidently in that direction. But pretty soon you get past sort of the built-up areas, and you get to the bottom slope that leads up to the mountain itself, and join the main road that leads up to the gates in the wall. There is a moat that goes around this, and the drawbridge is down, and it's easy enough. It looks like people are sort of coming and going, but there are a lot of guards on the walls. But being brought in, sort of there's a whole... It looks like a patrol is coming in, from what you can tell. And as you guys approach, you get sort of halfway across the drawbridge when the 2 gate guards sort of standing there seem to take interest. They have pole arms. Both of them have halberds, and they see you coming. And
I have background in soldier. Can I give them a proper salute for the area?
Yeah, give me a history check just to see if you can recount sort of the details on this. Because your father was trained in Breckendale, but
still part of the Freefields Coalition, right? Still the same area, even if the Freefields Coalition isn't newer. Hopefully, there's some sort of...
Oh no, these guys will probably had the training in the same place as your father. You you give the simple salute, which is just clasping. You actually have the cloak with the pins and everything.
That's right, because he just gave me the cloak.
So you give that sort of clasp to your shoulder, and then sort of a gesture out to them, acknowledging that you are saluting them. And they give.
Calvin can probably also see that, so if they reciprocate, then he can act his way through at least the general motions of it if I'm out in front. So.
But as you guys approach, they do appear to be stopping you, standing sort of impassively. You could move around them, but they make it very clear that they want to have a chat and find out who these interlopers are, who don't appear to be on the schedule. And we're going to cut away there to a happy couple whose honeymoon is not going as planned. Curtis and Lucy, you guys have no longer got a queue to contend with. You can see that there are now 2 guards from a different patrol that are now questioning the elves, who are kicking off a big stink about the whole thing. This has all happened very quickly, but there doesn't appear to be anyone being served anymore. There are still a few people who haven't really got with the time, with the program, and they're still queuing, but there's like 5 people in the queue as opposed to maybe sort of like 40, 50 people in the queue. What are you guys doing?
So the elves and the guards are keeping one another busy by the looks of things, right?
Yes, you would know that there's probably quite a few people who are sort of like running stuff in the background, as opposed to just the guys who sort of the greeters who were serving people. You know that there's people who have been moving around in the background, probably bringing supplies in, who are probably now either being questioned or checking their stock.
Okay. And from my conversation with the guards before, it's safe to assume that they're not from around here. They're not quite up to date with everything that's, the laws of the land, etc.
It would seem that the majority patrolling this area, no, they're hired help. So they don't necessarily know all of the details, but you would recognize that they're mercenaries. So they're not green, they're just new to being guards, especially in this area.
So I would turn to Lucy and say, hey, how much do you know about the laws of Rivercroft? Or just any laws about food?
The local laws?
That doesn't matter, really.
How much would I know about that?
You're a learned person from a neighboring kingdom. You can give me a history check. Is there something specific you're looking to find out with?
He just wants her to sound like she's clever enough about the law that we could bullshit some guards into saying that we need to shut this place down. It's not up to code, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like health code laws.
Right, on a 15, you'd know that there's the basics of the law and everything like that, but you know that there's a whole string of new laws that are sort of coming in, and they get updated almost weekly, that are regarding specifically crops, food, and anything like that. And it's to do with sort of like there's anything that could be that could infect food supplies, that could cause infestations. There's just no room for anyone to have rat problems or anything like that. A lot of people can't keep code with that. A lot of taverns and stuff aren't necessarily up to scratch, but anywhere that there is guards, it is generally enforced as much as it can be.
Okay, so Lucy, do you think that we could convince these guys that I need to shut this place down? Maybe you're like a health inspector and you can take a look around.
I could certainly give that a try. I think if we give a quick inspection and warn them that people have been sick, they'll be willing to they'll have to comply because, well, there are guards all about. All it would take would be for me to say I'm going to summon a guard, and they would be closed. So
okay, and maybe we have to take a few samples back for testing, and we take some platters, walk away, and never come back.
Yes, we'll gather what we can, and In the absolute worst case, I do have a spell that might get us a good hiding place if necessary.
Okay, well, we'll try the ruse, and if not, I'll try and we can sneak in. Okay.
Yes.
All right, follow my lead. And he steps towards the guards. It's like, excuse me there, gentlemen.
I feel like follow my lead is like Curtis's go-to thing every time he starts with Lucy's just this will make no sense whatsoever, but just do as I do.
Do it.
You are
Lucy's going to kind of look as important as she can walking with him now.
I mean you certainly Mages College, the Mages Academy in Brackendale is they're practical, but they're military, so you'd understand sort of you'd have the right walk to it. And Curtis as well is a man sort of like who looks the part. So you guys approach. How does it play out?
Excuse me there, gentlemen. This is Lady Juniper Fornication, and she needs to have a look at this place here.
Yes, I am with the health inspection, and it seems there's been some reports of some people getting ill off of this food.
That's right.
I'd rather like to have a look, if you don't mind.
The two guards, standing there, look you up and down. Give me a deception check, Will.
Sure.
And when nobody's looking, Lucy's going to shoot dagger eyes at Curtis.
On a 24, they take one look at you, they listen to what you say, they look at the elves, and you notice their posture shifts slightly, and now you have a guard on either side of you, not flanking you to sort of arrest you, backing you up essentially. And there's a very tall sun elf woman standing in front of you, wearing quite modest clothing, but it's all made of very nice material, sort of silks and satin and that sort of lace. But she's standing sort of almost sort of blocking the entire doorway, arms crossed, and she looks pissed. Behind her, there's some commotion going on. That very polite, very British argument going on. It's just all sneering words and clipped tones, but no raised voices, as people seem to be arguing over what's actually happened, if it's possible they're in the wrong. But this woman, she says, I can assure you that we take every precaution to purify all of our food. Whatever happened had nothing to do with us.
Listen,
yes, of course.
I'm sure this is true, and Lady Juniper, I'm sure will back you up on this, but you have to understand we have to do a standard routine inspection as per the subsection 21C of the most recent law. We need to take it out, and I may need you later on to fill out a 47B form.
Yes, it's purely protocol.
Give me another deception check, Will. As you start talking, she reaches over to the side and picks up a stack of papers, and you read sort of in Elven. Wait, actually, I missed. What languages do you use?
I do speak Elven, yeah.
Yeah.
I also know Elven.
She actually has a copy of like the food, health, and safety stuff. On a 20, she looks at it, she starts flicking through, and she's 47. Oh.
Yeah, that's last week's.
They've updated it. She like looks like she wants to like tear into it or like throw it, and then has that kind of composure moment. And she's just like, very well.
It's okay, I can help you fill them out.
I invite you to peruse our stock, and you will see very quickly that everything is absolutely up to specifications, no matter what ludicrous rules they could have come up with in the meantime. And
yes,
she gestures for
we
you
don't
to
make
come
the
in.
rules. We just enforce them strictly.
Yes. Shall we have a
Why don't
look?
you take around? Yes, let's stick around. We may have to take a few things back to the inspection unit HQ.
At this point, she's just fed up, and she's just like, fine, come with me. And she gestures for you to come in, and as the guards start to walk in, she turns around and just says, not you two. You two have caused enough trouble, and seems to, like, have a proper problem with these two guys. And she turns around and says, just go through, they'll show you through to our stores. And she stays planted in this doorway and begins arguing with these guys all over again. And you guys are left to sort of see that there are platters that are laid out. They're like tiered platters that have sort of different selections of food. But I mean, we're talking morsels. Like, you're probably sort of thinking sort of like, it looks like party food. And like it's been plated up, like there's a huge plate and then there's like a cocktail
tiny little bites.
That's it. That's all they are giving out. But it is supposedly being given out for free to certain people. And you were led through. Do you want to try and take samples from here, or are you going off to like their core stock?
Yeah, I think we're going after stock.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get a box or something.
Okay, so you guys are led by another elf who looks you up and down just with disgust and turns his nose up and just says, come with me now, and leads you out the back and through the back door of the warehouse, which is bustling with activity, with people stressing out and opening up stock, and you see quite a few of them casting magic in this area, specifically on produce, as if they're trying to isolate where the infection or infestation could be.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Lady Juniper?
Well, it seems they're doing a bit of work on it already, but just to be safe, we really ought to take some back for our own inspection. Purely protocol, you understand. Let's see.
This guy looks at you and... Fuck you, Tia. He looks at you and he looks at you, doesn't look particularly happy, and says, fine. And he goes and he grabs sort of like a small platter that was meant to be sent out, and he just hands it to you. It's got like maybe like 10 mouthfuls on there, and he's just like, it's one of everything. Now go.
Gonna need more than this, fella. I mean, that one might be fine, but we gotta get samples from all over here. At least 2 each.
Yes. We're going to need a little more than this. I'm so sorry.
He looks like you with absolute hatred, Lucy. He's just like...
She looks unfazed.
With fury.
Unfazed, just purely professional.
Making friends everywhere she goes.
Yeah. And turns around and he begins sort of like gathering stuff. And you notice, like, instead of giving you like a crate, he's basically making you a hamper. But like, there's no love in it whatsoever, because they don't have like anything that isn't luxury looking. So he's basically packing you this lovely hamper, but just venom in his eyes. Just like, fuck you.
Some fucking eggs.
Just fucking eggs. And,
he's just packing it full of rage.
And finally he comes over and he sort of like slams it down in front of you, and you hear sort of like glass like clanking, clicking against each other, and he just pushes it over to you and he just says, there you go. Now get out.
Much obliged, dear. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Good day. Come, we should go.
Of course. Let's be away from here, back to the lab.
Yes.
Turns round, like, grabs one of his assistants, and it's just like, open everything! Just like, just loses his damn mind at this. This is a scandal that will not set. This is like 2 days before the coronation itself. This cannot happen. They are in full lockdown. So you guys managed to exit, and as you're walking down, like, there's a couple of people just like will stop you and just, ooh, where did you get that?
It's bad, real bad.
Yes, it's
everywhere.
And
it's
the reputation spreads.
This is terrible Yelp review.
Ruin their lives. And yeah,
jobs.
You see the couple who were like honeymooning outside. They're just like, they got a hamper, and then you're like, it's infected, and then she goes slightly green, and she looks at him, and he's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, anniversary ruined. And you make your way through. Are you heading straight back to the Silver Serpent?
Yeah, I'm gonna, explain to Lucy briefly, because Calvin did it in a message to me, so I might not communicate this yet. But Calvin's going there. He's taking Sarah, and we may have to go get him out.
To the castle?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh goodness.
Yeah.
All right.
I gave Sarah a vial of poison, so if they found out and interrogated him, he can kill himself before they tell him anything. Yeah.
No, you know what? Nothing surprises me anymore. All right.
In one day, you take your daughter to a brothel and give her a vial of poison to kill herself. The day after she kills her first man.
Calvin will go.
And ruin some elves' lives. It's wonderful.
It's nice to have the option. That's all I'm saying, Lucy.
Yes. Well, let's hope it does not come to that. Let's get this back to that cad as soon as possible.
Agreed. Okay, let's find a way back to Silverstack where I'm not staying, and get Remo these this hamper.
So, you guys make your way back through the streets to the man on the door. This big, burly, potato-faced individual, just like squashed ears and horrible little gnarly face, who tries his best to smile welcomely. But he notices you guys, he recognizes you guys, and he gives Curtis a slight wink, and he just says, probably best to ditch the little one before you come back, I see. Gives you that kind of, I see what you're doing. Yeah, right.
I see what you mean now, yes.
And he opens the door and he's like, might want to hold your breath as you go. Literally watch you just sort of like in real life, like. And you guys head back.
Lucy's just like got the hood of her robe just kind of up and waiting.
Already done last time.
Gas mask on. And you guys head back inside. No con save this time, as you're kind of a little bit more prepared for it. And yeah, you do get that slight tingly sensation, both of you. It sort of affects your perception slightly, but it's not as bad as that first initial, like, whoa, the smoke in here is laced
trippy
with stuff, yeah. But you come back in, still, it's, maybe an hour or so has passed, but it's still quite quiet, and they don't do most of their trade in the morning. But as you come in, the guy behind the bar, he just smiles sickly to you and just says, he's where he was before, and points you over to the booth where Artie resides.
Yeah, I will steer over there. Oh, and Ronan Z gives Sarah 2 wild magic surges. Thank you, Ronan.
Oh no.
Yeah, steer away.
Yeah, we'll make our way over there.
Artie is, yeah.
Okay, well, you guys are welcomed by someone who sat there, and he's not alone this time. He sat opposite Elizabeth, the very buxom, slightly older sun elf, who she's starting to show her maturity, and he sort of looks to her. He looks, oh god, oh, I love seeing chaos.
Oh no!
I love seeing the chaos. So he looks to nearest castle, burns to the ground immediately. No, he looks to you and he says, "All right, we're done here, Elizabeth." And she gives him a scornful look and departs. As come on, fucking sit down. Chop chop.
I've got your things.
Well, fuck me sweetly. You don't hang about, do you?
No.
Let's have a gander.
We'll set it up for him, I guess.
Yeah.
You like lay plates in front of him, and he's like, "Ooh, that looks good. What's that? Who's that? It's that whale spunk, isn't it? Oh, Yeah,
That is what you wanted, is it not?
Whale spunk. I'm not sure really. I've never had it.
It's a whale egg.
Anyway, you have me at somewhat of a disadvantage. I weren't expecting you back till at least tomorrow, so I haven't had a chance to organise the meet-up yet. But let me comp you something on the house. What do you fancy? What's your poison? What are you into?
Poison.
Fucking, I like you. Straight to the. I'll tell you what. And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a small bulbous vial that he places down. It is like thimble amount, not much at all. Places it down. He says, "Take this with the reassurance that there's work to come down the line if you ever need it. I appreciate a man who delivers quickly. I'm sure she does as well. Anything for you, love?"
No, I'm good. Thank you. I don't. No, I'm good.
Right. Well, that right there in that vial, that right there in the vial, that turn a man as stiff as a board. And I don't mean in the fun way that'll please your missus. I mean, like that, you ain't gonna be going nowhere no time soon. Still be able to feel and think and everything, but won't be able to make none more than a muttering. So, always handy.
Thank you, Mr. Remo.
Useful.
We'll be returning tomorrow for the rest of our deal.
I'll tell you what, I'll probably be able to get it done by tonight. Bring your mate back as well. We got a couple of people coming in. I think you might be interested in meeting some of the local big shots and everything, so...
He may very well be a little bit indisposed, but perhaps tomorrow night.
Sounds good to me. See you around. He tips his little fedora.
Thank you, Mr. Remo.
It's always a pleasure. And he rubs his hands, napkin in, gets out some silverware, and he begins to very messily eat, and having no idea, like, there's like prawns, and he doesn't know how to de-shell them, and he's just fucking having a riot. Yeah, well, you guys, what's the plan now?
Well...
What is the plan now?
We're gonna have to come back here tonight to try and get inside the castle, and we have to hope that Calvin and Sarah stay alive and well until then. There's no way we're getting in there without Remo's help.
Well, you know, I could send Rick in to at least find out where they are.
It's not a bad idea. Maybe there's a way in we can get there sooner, but if they went to the castle, then it's gonna be tough getting in.
Easy enough for a cat, as long as they haven't got any sort of problems with animals.
Okay, let's get back to our room at the tavern, so we're not just doing things out in the street.
Sounds like a plan, and I would love to get as far away from this place and that man as possible.
Oh, Remo's not too bad.
Elizabeth seems to like catch your eye, Lucy.
Me.
Like,
oh no,
Lucy, you catch Elizabeth's eye, and she just gives you like a very exhausted, worn-out, tired nod of acknowledgement. She knows how you suffer.
She gets it.
Girl, I can tell you some things. Yeah, so do you guys depart for the Drowned Man's Refuge?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a rather uneventful trip back, and when you return, you sort of make your way inside. You're greeted by the dwarf behind the bar, and he sort of gestures for you to, make yourself comfortable at the bar or head up to your rooms, whatever you fancy. Yeah, you are back and you're safe. Are you sending forth your cat? Is it Rick?
Yes. Yes.
Sir Richard? Because
Sir Richard is going to go to the castle.
Indeed. You guys couldn't get in, but Sir Richard, I mean, he's a knight.
He's the finest mouser in all of the land.
He is indeed. So, okay. Well, we'll get back to the adventures of Sir Richard shortly, but Meanwhile, we do have another knightly man who is in the process of being interrogated. Calvin, you are stopped by the two guards on the gate. These guys, you take one look at, they're not mercenaries. The guys around the castle all seem to be actual guards of Rivercroft, and he looks you up and down, looks the whole group up and down, doesn't pay specific attention to you, but looks at the whole group as if looking for someone to treat with, and says, "What's your business here?" There are no patrols scheduled to check in.
There's been an incident down at the market.
You were supposed to deal with these things.
And I look to the other guard to give a report as though that's his station.
Okay, give me a performance check as you're sort of trying to convey the gravity of the situation.
That's a 23.
A 23. He sort of he looks to you. He turns to the guards accompanying you, and he says, "You're supposed to keep these things in hand. Make sure it doesn't get out of hand. Go on." And he gestures to you, Calvin, and says, "Come with us. Is the little one with you?" Or?
She's my new squire.
Hello.
She's still in training, but she's quite insightful, has a good eye.
My dad fought in the war, he did. I want to be just like him.
Favorite to the family, which is probably somewhat of a thing that
tradition.
happens.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing that sort of, people, especially kids who, have potentially lost someone in the war. It's
Did you see my wild magic surges by any chance?
No, I didn't. So, would you like to reveal to us now your wild magic surges? Because I'm really looking forward to this.
Target sprouts an iguana's tail from his chin.
What? What?
You heard me. Yeah. So, do with that what you will. Thanks, Ronan. And then all weapons within 50 yards are stuck in their sheaths, which is a little bit more useful.
Dear God. Okay. So you will find.
I can blame it on the food.
Okay. In which case, I'm going to let you take the lead on that. But there's been a problem with the constant downpour of water and everything. Has actually caused. I mean, Rivercroft is not the best armed place. They've always relied on Breckendale for arms. Breckendale produces sort of huge quantities of weaponry and stuff like that, and siege weaponry and armor. Very traditional, sort of like they mass produce sort of plate mail and stuff like that. However, places like Rivercroft don't have a huge quantity of ore and mining to really supplement that. They have quite a narrow border with the mountains in the north, and they are mostly focused on agriculture. So they've always had quite poor sort of weaponry and have had to try and keep it as best they can. But this has caused, essentially weapons to start rusting in their sheaths, making it incredibly difficult to... I mean, everything is this constant... I mean, it's been raining for, a week and a half now. It's not just the weapons, it's sort of their armor, everything. You can see the chainmail has spots of red rust, even though they probably have to keep it as clean as they can working at the castle. But he looks to Sarah. Sarah, tell me all about this growth.
I imagine that it would have just started slowly forming on her chin and then curling towards it, and maybe the iguana's tail flicks out every now and then, and she just looks down and is like, "What is happening? Is this from the food?" And she actually looks at Calvin "Is this you doing this? Calvin, what is happening right now? I'm scared."
So I look to this guard who's interrogating and goes, as I said, an incident. I need to report it to Stavros. It perhaps is connected to what's occurring in Breckendale. Magic is involved.
He nods and looks worried at Sarah, and he says, I can't take you to see Stavros. Not with the potential of you being... You could be contagious. We'll take you to the infirmary. Once you're cleared there, I'll arrange the meeting. And he sort of looks to you, and as he's smiling, he raises sort of like the edge of his cloak to his mouth as he's been talking to you, and has suddenly realized that there is a potentially disgusting infection that is growing on this scribe's face.
Yeah, I'm going to totally
a cleric.
I am going to totally good thinking, soldier. I will make sure Stavros is aware of your discretion in this matter.
He nods, and you guys are escorted to the infirmary. As you guys sort of walk through the...
No, I'll wait till we get to the infirmary. Yeah, I'll wait till we get to the infirmary.
So you guys are escorted in through the portcullis and through the main doors and into sort of an antechamber, and through that onwards into a huge courtyard. There are troops sort of like that are in the process of dismantling like training dummies and archery practice stuff and everything like that, and at the same time people who are sorting out sort of essentially sort of like trying to clean the place up, because luckily it's on a hill and therefore the heavy rainfall hasn't been too much of a problem. It has proper sewers and everything like that, and stone flooring, so it's not so flooded. But I mean, there's still a problem. You see like people literally like using like mops to sort of like push the water away as other people come in with huge amounts of sort of chairs and everything. This is supposedly where the coronation seems to be about to take place in the next few days. There is a huge aisle. It looks sort of almost like a sort of similar to weddings you would have seen. I imagine Calvin's played a few.
Yeah.
But
all bards start by playing weddings.
Yeah, it's
every garage band or every
garage band. Yeah. So you come through and you see sort of like all the decorations being put in place, and you see that they're in the process of hanging the flags of the different countries. So you see Breckendale is up there, you see Elsium is going up, you see Ironheart is being put up as it can, and Rivercroft is like at the end on either side of like where it's almost an altar that's been erected. But you can see they're bringing out sort of large chairs to turn the altar into like the royal head table, where he can sort of address people from. There's a lot of security around, a lot of guards, and no mercenaries that you can see. All of these look the real deal, and they look well armed. Not like especially well armed. They're not, you know, sort of special forces kind of. They're not as good as maybe other royal guards are, but these guys know they move with confidence. They are tough-looking characters. It's a little nerve-wracking considering you don't belong here, but no one pays you any mind whatsoever. And you were taken through to the infirmary where, I'm just with this guy, you know.
I'm basically doing there's a little girl with an iguana on her chin. They're not looking at me.
As you,
Sarah is truly terrified she barely knows what magic is. The idea of something suddenly sprouting from her has her mortified, and I want to get to the infirmary as soon as possible, and pretty much the whole way. Are you going to be able to take this off of me? Is it going to be like this forever? Am I going to have to live like this now? Am I just the iguana lady? I don't want to be like this. This is from the food. This is from the elves. The elves did this to me.
And as this goes on, sort of like you are hushed multiple times, and like
good luck.
See people like you see like
You've met
little
Lorelai, haven't you?
No, you are they try and quiet you as best they can, and you're taken through to the infirmary section, and there's a bit of commotion already going on. There's a few injured people. You can see some of the guards look like, they've had run-ins with maybe pickpockets who have carried knives or what have you, but mostly it's actually deserted. Like, there aren't many people in here, just sort of the occasional sort of twisted ankles and that sort of stuff. But you're taken over to like a section which is screened off, and they take you in and they lay both of you, or sit both of you on beds, and he says, I'm gonna have to fetch a cleric to look at the both of you. Don't talk to anyone, don't interact with anyone as best you can. Just wait
all
here.
right. To be particularly safe, though, you should make people fall down the edges of the hallways, just in case I'm contagious.
He nods as if, like, he's still trying to figure out what it is. He's a little taken aback, but most people have given you a pretty wide berth, as he's sort of been sort of sweeping people aside, not wanting to tell people there's an infection. People just seem to get out of his way and sort of wait patiently for you guys to pass.
If they're far enough away once he leaves, I want to start going through all the doctor's cupboards. What's in here? 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 What's in here?
Give me an investigation check. As Calvin, you take your eyes off the iguana lady for 0.5 of a second. When you glance back, cupboards are open. What have we got? A 17. Not bad. You find a lot of bandages. You find that there are ointments, ingredients, alchemical ingredients to mix into poultices and salves and that sort of thing.
Anything that seems like it has any kind of value besides just the mundane, like, rubbed together ointments, mortar and pestle ointments.
You find some cleaning agents, so a few bits and pieces, sort of strong alcohol, like very strong alcohol, like chemically strong alcohol, which is slightly explosive. You can almost say you could use it similar to alchemist fire. Not quite as devastating. You find some herbs and stuff. Give me a medicine check to see if you can find anything particularly juicy.
Not really great with the medicine. Ooh.
You find red arrow grass, which is actually an ingredient that goes into the non-magical version of healing potions, the all-natural sort of thing, and it's known to sort of have an enhancing effect on potions. So, for example, if you were to mix this correctly,
if I were to mix this with my death sticks, would it enhance my death sticks?
You'd have to essentially break them, grind them like in a mortar and pestle, and then finally chop this and mix it together, and then reform them. But yes, potentially you could make super death sticks.
All right, so
Instant death sticks.
I pocket the red arrow grass and put all the cupboards back as they were and go back and sit on, like, the doctor's thing and kick my legs over the edge like a child would, and go back to the sad face and looking at Calvin like you saw nothing.
Calvin, you do see everything. You see all of this happen.
Yes.
You do anything about it, or you just...
I just sort of look at her and just go, now, there's one thing about stealing. Only take as much as it's not going to be missed. Did you leave some in there so they're not going to realize that it's not all, that someone's taken it all? Someone will think they just misplaced something. Always leave some behind.
I hadn't thought of that. That's really smart, Calvin. Oh, there it is. I'm finally picking. Dang it! Almost made it the whole episode without picking up Calvin's accent.
Almost did it, darling.
The whole episode. All right, I think that's actually quite a good idea. And I go and put some of it back. Damn your strong Southern, easy to mimic accent.
And as you guys,
I leave a little of it back. That's good learnings.
Yeah. Good learnings indeed. You You put some of it back, and very quickly a cleric comes to find you, and he begins to run through some tests with you to see if he can ascertain what the fuck is wrong with her chin.
We all would like to know, because Calvin's just like,
Yes.
I didn't do that.
Calvin-
But he doesn't
Calvin's
say
like,
that.
Vanish.
You ever
Vanish.
seen anything like it before?
Oh God! What have I done? We're going to cut back
Food really was
to,
cursed.
as you guys are inside. We're going to cut back outside as sort of the sun reaches the peak in the midday sky. A small cat makes its way towards the castle. Now, Jess, this is on you. You are now in control of Sir Richard. Now, I will tell you, he's a level 20 cat. He's incredibly powerful.
Excellent.
It's either he's a level 20 cat or he's a 20-pound cat. I can't remember.
Both.
One or
Both
the
is
other.
good.
Yeah. So Richard, being navigated through you via telepathy,
Okay.
as you're familiar, you can see through his through him, I believe. So you can sort of see sense through his senses. What do you have?
Yeah,
to do?
well, while that is going on, I'm blind to my surroundings, so good luck with that. But yeah, he will.
like holding you and stuff, and just like drawing stuff
Because
in
if you
your
lock
face.
yourself in like the away, in the
I'm going
closet
through it,
before
folks.
leaving your body with Curtis.
I'm going through her drawer.
That's. I'm worried, but you know.
I'm just stealing. I'm not stealing things. I'm
Oh,
just
gosh.
looking at what she has.
Well, enjoy
Just
my
refolding all of her clothes and stuff, and just like doing
enjoy
tiny
that
things
in
like
progress book. Have
You
fun
can-
reading that in progress manuscript.
Curtis moves all the furniture in the room 2 inches to the left, just to see if you notice.
Oh
Just to fuck with you a little bit.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. Yes, do it.
Meanwhile, Sir Richard
so-
is sneaking his way towards the castle.
Yes, Sir Richard is sauntering on towards the castle, probably to look for a window that would be easily accessible to slip into that might be open, like in the kitchen or something.
First things first, Sir Richard has the problem of there's a moat in the way. There is a drawbridge, but there are armed guards on it. And as Sir Richard tries to walk across the drawbridge, one of the guards tries to kick him away. Are you gonna try and dash in, or are you gonna? I mean, there's foot
yeah.
traffic and stuff.
Yeah, he'll try to dash past and just get out of the way of that. What should Sir Richard roll?
I'm gonna leave an acrobatic.
Okay.
Do you have some character sheet?
I don't have a sheet set up for him. Let me check really quick what.
Cats have 20
Pull up
decks.
cat real quick. I've
Yeah.
got D&D Beyond open.
Yeah, I'll just He has
I got it.
+2 to Dex, so
He does indeed.
Yep.
let me add the mod. I'm learning how to use.
You can literally just
This
add
thing.
where it says +2 next to the advantage.
There we go.
Oh, damn! On that, so Richard being the live, sort of like, he's put on a little weight, but back in his day, you should have seen him. And he uses his cunning and prowess to snake his way through very quickly. And you see this guard turn around with a halberd, and for a moment, it looks like he might try and skewer him, but he's just gone, and suddenly turns back, and there's chaos is breaking out. It's sort of like carts almost sort of run into him, and they stop it, and attention vanishes from the errant cat, who makes his way into the courtyard.
Yep. Since he's a black cat, he's gonna find the shadows or any shadowed area and just kind of try to creep on through for an opening.
Okay.
So, yeah, sticking to the shadows to stay mostly out of sight and creep inside the castle to pause and hunker down and get a look at what's going on and try to figure out where to go from there.
Okay, you give me a perception check as you make your way through.
Sure. That would be 3. Okay. Ooh.
On a 6, it takes Sir Richard quite a while. On his adventures, he finds a small amount of food that he quickly scarfs. He finds that there are very few rats or anything around. He does smell dogs around, probably hunting dogs, and has a couple of moments where you have to sort of like scold him to go places because he can smell these hunting dogs.
He's distracted.
I don't want it. No. But after an eventual sort of adventure, he has managed to find some food, seen some interesting sights in the castle, peed on a lot of stuff and claimed it as his own, and finally finds the infirmary, which smells horrible to him because it's kind of got that chemical tinge.
Yeah.
Doesn't particularly seem happy, but you hear the squeals and screams of Sarah. Just get it off, get it off, get it off, get it off, get it off. As Sir Richard encounters Sarah quietly sort of underneath the bed opposite her across the road, across the hall. As Sarah is literally having essentially someone prod her face, and when he pulls back and he moves ever so slightly, you see Sarah has something flicking, like a beard that sort of like a little goatee that curls up and then links outwards, like a new appendage.
So, the cleric is in there dealing with her right now?
The cleric is the one prodding her.
Poking her? Okay. So Richard's gonna stay there for the moment. And if I can, I will just kind of give him the command to hang out for now, so I can come back to reality and find out how much Curtis has fucked with the room. And let him know that I've found them.
Yeah, he finds sort of like a spare linen that is like underneath the bed, waiting to be sort of changed out quickly, and immediately shreds sort of some of the linen to make himself like a little basket, and lounges back luxuriously, having made himself at home underneath a hospital bed.
He's found himself a new place to hang. He's fine.
And you come back to yourself and find Curtis has been busy. Curtis is sort of like
Curtis is, he's probably gone through all of your things and looked and then put them back exactly as they were, so it doesn't look like he's touched anything, but you might notice that something's out of place. How was it? It's probably like intensely close as well.
You come back. Curtis is 2 inches from your face, just peering.
God, could you perhaps personal space?
Didn't expect you to. I was inspecting your eyes.
Why?
No reason.
Anyway, never mind. I found them, and they're in the infirmary. Sarah's got some sort of living goatee that's on her chin. I don't know.
A living goatee.
I have no idea, but that's what I saw. In any case, they're in the infirmary. I've got Rick waiting there. No,
didn't look like they've been captured.
Fine. It didn't seem that way, right?
Good. The cat can't like speak, right?
I don't think they can. No, they can't speak language. I can like telepathically communicate with it, I believe.
Right.
Yes.
Just wondering if we could get to them, but that's not a problem.
No, I mean, I could tell him to, I don't know,
I think
rub on our legs or something.
It's going to confuse them more.
Yes.
Well, as long as they're alive, then we can wait a couple of hours and we will have the way into the castle.
Yes. I can make sure Rick stays with them until then, or at least not far away. So we'll always have a means of finding them, hopefully.
The only other thing is those two upstairs. They can scry on Calvin at all times. Maybe they can get us in there.
So here's a question, and this is totally DM's call. I know
for the raid, thank you,
the cat has just sauntered
Appreciate it, guys.
If I message that cat, does she hear it? If I cast message, because it's an incitement.
It can pass on the message. This is true.
Because that is interesting. I had never
back.
considered that before.
It can.
The cataphone.
It's classed as intelligent, and it cannot speak, but it. Yes, so technically, yes.
It's a one-way instead of the normal two-way, but I can at least update them.
I mean, the cat
I have a freaking iguana tail on my face. Yes. Like, what are you going to tell them?
Right? Is it
they can't see the tail.
Your call. If you want to have them respond, that's great. That makes it even better. But otherwise,
they cannot speak on their own, but they can communicate, or at least with me, he can communicate telepathically.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not gonna be the most interesting conversation you've ever had because it's not. He's incredibly well educated for a cat.
That Curtis know that Calvin, so far things are going okay. So if I see Sir Richard come in and plop down, I'll do the point the finger and start muttering under my breath, casting message to him. Well, we're in the castle. We ain't arrested yet, and we might even have a meeting with Stavros. If all goes our way, I will have them summon you up to us. You can pass that along, Lucy. I think that's how this will work with your cat. We'll see. No, I don't know.
And as that happens, you experience a desire for milk, a hatred of dogs, and a general sense of itchy uncomfortableness, as these are not the most comfortable sheets, and a hairball. Calvin starts hacking up a hairball. But all of it is passed along to Lucy.
Yes.
It takes you a few moments to sort of figure out exactly what is going on, what is being said, but yeah.
Well, interesting. I have to give credit to Calvin. He messaged through Sir Richard. It sounds as though they're going to have a meeting with Stavros after all. They've not been arrested. He said they'll summon us up to the castle if they can.
Okay. I think we still go with Remo and see, make contact of any contacts that he has, and then they can summon us up if we're inside.
Yes.
I have the seal on me, so of the royal messengers, so hopefully that'll do as evidence.
Yes.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. Do I have? I mean, I know I took the bag off of him, but do you have it in your? I don't know who really has that.
I wrote in my inventory that I had it.
Yeah.
I believe it ended up with Curtis. Yeah.
I think it's in the note as well, or I know I had the note at one point, but I think I probably passed it all off to them. I was hoping that I had it, but if I don't, that's fine. It makes sense for Calvin to have passed it off.
Yeah. We'll roll for it. On a 1, it is on odds. It's with Calvin. On evens, it's with Curtis. It's odds. It's with Calvin.
Oh, okay.
So you've got the letter and I've got the seal?
Yeah, I've got the letter, you've got the bag.
Okay, yeah, okay. So you guys are going to be looked at for quite some time, and it takes some time, but Sarah, you're going to have a scar on your chin. Not a big scar, yeah.
Well, I was here, in my mind, can I do an insight on how good I think this cleric is, or is he kind of like bumble fumble cleric?
Give me an insight check.
Well, I could have a scar on my face like a real warrior.
On a 13, he's a cleric. He doesn't seem particularly, definitely doesn't seem like he knows what this is, but he seems to think he knows how to remove it with relative ease, but he's doing it to minimize damage.
I don't know what chin tails are, but I know how to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Let's go. We'll go with the click. Well, no, because I have lesser restoration, and that was I was gonna do it to try to make it seem like there's no worry that we're contagious. I was gonna try to sort of I was considering casting it on the way to the infirmary, but then was going to wait to see if the cleric had something better. But if he doesn't, but also I'm kind of like, if he seems like he's got it taken care of, then Calvin knows he's not as good a healer as a cleric is. So he wouldn't do it unless he felt that this guy was a quack.
Yeah, he very carefully using heavy gloves to handle the iguana tail with a scalpel begins to cut into, and he will have given Sarah something to chew on, which Sarah makes your entire face feel slightly detached from your head, as if it's just sort of floating there, not really attached, not really doing anything, and everything.
You got me more of this.
Just
in case I feel pain later.
You 90% like you don't he looks at you curiously, and you look at him, and you can see in his eyes what looks to be sort of like confusion as to why a 14-year-old or 14-and-a-half-year-old girl would want drugs. Calvin, she's not speaking words. She's just a little bit of froth.
She's got dentist mouth.
Yeah, she's got dentist mouth, but she doesn't seem to be aware of it. And she's he's cutting through her chin, and she's talking, and he keeps tisking at her and telling her to hold still. Likewise, Sarah, he doesn't seem to be making much sense to you either.
What do you want to do?
Also, it's slightly confusing as to why they built the castle halfway up the hill at an angle, because everything in this room is tilted, and you're not entirely sure what the point of that is. But he manages to very carefully cut off this fleshy growth, and he seals it in a small metal box and says, I'll have to examine that at a later date. In the meantime, I can't detect any kind of infection on you, poison of any kind, no diseases, nothing. So,
does that mean it won't come back?
You have basically a bandage that goes sort of from your chin all the way up around your head and wraps around your face. It is a very unattractive bandage, Sarah. But he looks at you.
It's like a heart.
Stop.
It's like a really pretty heart.
Sir, you're going to have to make sure she doesn't fiddle with that, or it could get infected. But it should clear up relatively quick.
Yep, I look at her and go, well, Squire, it's your first real trophy, your first scar from battle.
I think Dad's gonna be proud of me.
Very, very proud. And I look to the cleric and just go, if you could clear us to see Stavros, there, I believe, magic.
You're interrupted by a large group of guards who enter the infirmary, and look at you. They come over to sort of stand around you. None of them get close because you're in sort of like the quarantined area, and the cleric sort of like finishes sort of packing stuff away into his bag, wiping his hands down.
Can I try to shake off the effects of this drug at all?
Yeah, give me a con save.
Save itself, okay.
That one.
Sarah.
Wow.
Sarah.
Goodbye.
Wow. No, Sarah,
Lucy with diamonds in the sky.
Sarah, you're so high, you're convinced you're sober. You're convinced, 100% convinced that you're entirely with full faculties. These guards stand there looking at the cleric, and the cleric sort of looks like he's a bit lost for words as he keeps glancing at them as he's packing stuff away, and finally sighs, wipes his brow, and says, whatever it is, it's not infectious, but it definitely isn't. Well, it was magic of some kind. Well, the commander here can cast, he's not, well, it doesn't seem to be emanating from him. In fact, it seems to be well, entirely unusual. I'm not sure where it's come from, but rest assured, it's gone now. And well, I'll research into it. And as he begins to blather on, the head of the guard just cuts him off and says a few things. Firstly, where's the guard that brought him in? Shakes his head and says, I presume he returned to his post. And he dismisses 2 guards to go find him. And he says, secondly, Stavros is waiting to see you.
That is
and
very good.
He nods, and he turns to the cleric. And thirdly, this man is not a commander. And the men draw swords.
They can't draw swords because within 50 yards, their swords are rusted.
Well, speaking of wild magic, let's read out Tia's latest from Ronin's.
Target's weapon drips with molasses during battle. Thanks, Ronin.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh goodness.
What, you mean he's not a commander?
Well, first thing, do they draw or not? That's your call.
They one of them manages to draw. The rest struggle slightly, but they're all going to get their swords drawn. But you can see these swords are damaged. They are going to take negatives to any attack rolls and anything like that. They don't go to attack them.
Yep.
Oh,
no,
man. I go to notch an arrow, all drunk.
Can I stop her? Can I stop her?
Contended athletics, please. Disadvantage to Sarah.
I'm not really gonna try to stop him too hard, but oh no, I'm sober. Never mind. Yeah, no.
Acrobatics?
Oh, come on!
Good.
You don't need to.
That's a well-timed
so I got a 16.
So on a nat 1, Sarah literally she reaches and you go to like stop her and you take her bow and her arrows. You turn around to address the guy. The guy is looking curiously at Sarah, so you turn back. Sarah has taken sort of like what is essentially the edge of the bed, like the rail, and is now holding it like a lance, sort of swaying to and from, and yells on guard. And
oh man!
Hey, Crimson Phoenix!
No. Hey, Crimson Phoenix.
Welcome back.
It's a D4, Josh, to see which player is going to get a wild magic surge.
a D4, a caltrop, ladies and gentlemen. It is a 3, which is let me just look, that is Jess. Jess,
Oh goody.
go for it.
I hope you get a fucking tail out of your chin too.
Oh no.
I hope you get animated facial hair.
Oh goodness, this is gonna be fun.
You guys see weapons drawn, and they have a lot of hostility in them. And we're going to cut there, just at that moment, to Sir Richard, who suddenly relays this to Lucy. Lucy, what did we get for you, Wild Magic?
Oh my god.
The world ends.
Makes a spirited effort to detach one of his legs.
Oh, don't people think that Lucy's trying to end humanity?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a thing. Oh, and another wild magic surge for Sarah from Rodney. Thank you, Rodney.
Oh man, thanks guys.
Why not?
What? So Lucy's trying to she comes out of this and she looks like she's trying to pull off her own leg.
Yeah, apparently.
Little backlash from Sir Richard, trying as he was cleaning it.
Yeah, you know, like a cat thing.
Yeah, you're doing like the cat thing, like you basically like been clawing at your leg to the point you've actually drawn
This is
blood.
so fitting, it hurts.
What are you doing there, Lucy? What are you doing?
Oh God. Sorry. Must have just been a little too connected. It happens sometimes.
Yes, this is now going to be a running thing. Whenever you psychologically connected with your cat,
Just more cat-like.
immediately afterwards, you are cat-like. Like you have like the.
She's a crazy cat lady.
lick your hands.
This is the crazy cat.
If you start walking on all fours, maybe you'll feel more confident. Because then, if you put some boots on your hand from last episode, it's Wild Magic Surge.
There you go.
Yes. None can stop me.
Boy. And all 4 players get a Wild Magic Surge from Crimson Phoenix. Thank you. And,
Thank you.
so much.
I think.
Yeah, Tia, your
Thanks.
last Wild Magic Surge. You want to read that out now?
All right.
Yeah, Tia, what was your last one?
Once per week, caster throws a tantrum lasting 1d4 rounds.
That's normal.
That's normal for a child.
We're not gonna roll for it. I just want you to play Sarah as every now and again, just explosively unhelpful.
Okay. I can do that. I can lock that in the bag.
Oh,
And my
okay.
next one is someone nearby no longer needs to breathe.
Okay.
Cool.
Someone
Wow.
dies in the infirmary.
That's easy.
I no longer need to breathe.
I was thinking that was gonna go.
It's just like, it's incredible.
They
How
don't
has he
need to
been killed?
breathe if
He's
they're
just-
fucking dead.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
for
Um,
Calvin. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
Please.
for Calvin, if caster is wearing a magic ring, that hand attacks the other. I don't have any magic rings though.
You watch as the cleric, who's like in the middle of, he looks panicked and then suddenly slaps himself in the face and just clamps his own hand and pins it to his side and is just like, I'll be leaving you to it. And as he heads on over, as there's chaos erupting nearby,
He
as
puts himself down into a bed in the infirmary.
He's died.
I need help.
There's foul magic afoot.
as he
I'm in the
goes,
right
as he goes over to oh right, okay, so you see him sort of he sort of like has a nervous tick, like he twitches, and he heads over to one of the other patients, sort of like his work done here, and we'll cut now to the happy couple. What are your wild magic surges?
Well, yeah, where you go, Lucy?
It's like
Well?
poker. What do you got?
After each spell, light shines from the caster's mouth for 1d6 rounds.
I love it. Okay.
I'm jealous.
We're
Yeah,
not-
that's really gonna help your cause.
Yes, this is going to be subtle.
And
so-
yeah, my one is that one of my arms is impervious to magical cold. She's
Ooh,
one.
Okay.
I could come in.
I tell
So,
you
so
what-
one of my last week's wild magic surges was that my chest is horribly burnt. So I'm thinking that maybe it runs up part of my arm as well, and
Nerve
maybe that's
damage,
why less.
like,
Yeah, the nerve damage,
damage,
you can
you
feel
can't feel
it.
the cold. Like, so one of Calvin's arms, like, would it be your left arm or your right arm?
Let's give my good arm to my right arm.
Your right arm. Okay, so your right arm is cold, as if like you've had prolonged, like maybe like circulation. It was like dislocated for too long or something like that. But you've got like your hand is always like cold, like dead flesh cold. That kind of grim sort of like, it might be one of those things that sort of comes up. Just a strong
dead
handshake of a
inside.
man. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll essentially no sensation in your right arm. Wonderful.
Okay.
Still full functioning though. And
I've got something for the light, no worries.
Okay, I'm looking forward to just
She went to magic school, man. Weird stuff happens.
indeed.
So Rich, so she's come out and she's just seen what's happened and breaks out of her cat thing. Lucy, snap out of it.
They,
Spray her in the face with a spray bottle. Snap out of it.
someone has to always have a spray bottle now. Although I do have that decanter.
Yes.
Just put a nozzle on it.
Splash your face. You have to splash your face. That's it. You have to splash your face to snap out of it. Okay.
So it got bad. They know that Calvin is not a god captain, and they are drawing swords, and it's bad. We should do something, I think.
Well, what can
What do we do, Curtis?
What time is it right now, Josh?
It is. It's getting later in the day. It's probably sort of not quite. It's getting sort of, the light is sort of starting to fade. The sun is dropping low in the horizon. It's probably closer to sort of 6 o'clock. They've been in the infirmary a bloody long time, mostly because they are not taking any chances with whatever this is. And in that time, it would appear Calvin has been rumbled.
It's too long. It's too long to wait for Remo. We're gonna have to go in. They listened to him when he had the seal. Hopefully they'll listen to me when I have the seal.
Oh gods, I hope so.
Can't just kill him.
What? What? Are you storm the castle?
Can. I said, well, no, we'll storm it. We'll. Oh fuck, this is bad. We'll just show him the seal. Say we have to speak to Commander Davros.
Yes, Davros.
For the
okay,
best.
We can do that. Yes, and we should just go, I guess.
Take anything that's like magical on you or hide it somewhere. I guess they're probably gonna take us. And if they search you and they find out you're a wizard from Breckendale, you'll be killed. Maybe you should stay here.
Wait, but my spell book. Are you going to be all right if you go in there by yourself?
Yeah.
The answer's probably no.
Well, if we both go in, I don't know if our odds get better or worse.
Oh, thank you. Your faith
No
in me is
offense. I mean, it's just you being who you are, a wizard.
right.
You might not take kindly to it.
Okay. That.
Lucy, you'd know something about sort of how people would detect you. Give me a history check, or
Yeah,
see if you
I would
sort of,
assume
like,
that.
recount some of the lessons you learnt from the Mages Academy. On an 18, you're pretty sure if you leave sort of your book, your spell components and stuff like that, you wouldn't be able to cast anything that required those, but you might get away with it. There's also the fact that you will still be able to communicate with Sir Richard.
Sure.
Wouldn't need your spell book because he's out and you haven't got to summon him.
Right.
You can still communicate with him. So you would have up-to-date information on wherever Sir Richard is.
All right, so I am the most useful member of this party.
The utility war wizard is so utility.
So useful.
If they catch us and they're not kind to us for whatever reason they don't want to hear, then they'll kill us. If they catch us and they find out that you're a wizard, then they'll torture you before they kill us. It's your call.
That's encouraging. Well, I really think I ought to go with you, but if I leave everything behind, I am moral support at best, and I might be able to look around via Rick. That's about it.
It's your call, Lucy.
Right. Why don't you go, and I will try and see if I can sort something out here. Find a. I'll have to figure out a way to get you all out. And there's a light bulb moment, and she goes and rushes to her bag, and I'm gonna take a look at that note that elven woman handed me when she thought my terrible husband was arguing with me.
Yes, indeed. He is a local guard.
Ooh.
He is indeed.
Oh, that's interesting.
What?
I've got a friend in the guard, apparently.
Do you now?
Yes, do you remember when you decided we were married and were arguing with me in the middle of the tavern down below?
Intimately.
There was an elven woman who handed me this note and said if I ever needed anything at all. So, I think this constitutes a need.
That definitely does. Okay, change of plans. Let's go and see the oven lady. and maybe I won't get myself killed going in there this time.
That seems safer, perhaps. All right. Should we have some sort of story for this, or shall I just say I need help?
I think she knows who you are. Probably knows who I am as well.
Right.
One thing though, I'll hand her a vial. Drink this if they get you before they start torturing you.
Is that the poison that Remo gave him, or
No,
is
this
this
would be a
different?
different.
Poison?
This would be a different vial.
Okay.
He carries on at any time up to 10 vials of poison, which would probably be enough to kill you.
Sure.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind.
And pocket it very gingerly, like it is literally burning her fingers
Like
to
it
touch
could,
it.
it could explode at
Like it could
second, like,
bite her and kill her immediately.
You
You'll be fine. Just don't touch it. Don't think about it too much.
speaking of which,
just put your hand in the pocket. That's a bad idea.
Of course. Understood.
don't lick it. Whatever you do.
Oh God.
I've tried that before. It didn't work well.
So, as we could potentially see some combat here, Will, you have a vial of paralysis poison. It's a con save DC 14. It's one use. It can be coated on a weapon or a bolt or a bloat dart, but it's one use. If the target fails, they're paralyzed for 1 minute or until they take damage, in which case they retake the con save. So you
rush off.
yeah, okay, you guys head off to try and find the accommodation. You've got like a note that sort of gives you where they live. They actually live sort of, he's one of the guards, he's stationed nearby in one of sort of the guards bunkhouses. It is actually, you were actually standing outside it. If you look at the map, it is this building just
Yeah,
over.
that's
This
handy.
building here, which is literally a small guard outpost right by sort of the entranceway to sort of the market stalls and everything. And you head over there as so Richard keeps you updated on what is happening back in the castle. Calvin, how do you react to all these armed guards?
Yeah, so one of them was speaking to me and looks, maybe does have sort of a captain of the guard type actual thing on.
He is not wearing the same armor. All the rest are wearing chainmail and sort of robes and helms and are armed with swords. This guy has a sword on his hip, but he's wearing very nice levers. He looks more mercenary than the rest of them. But
Can I do some drunken insight with my soldier
You can
background?
indeed. Give me 2 insight checks because you're at disadvantage.
I'm at disadvantage. Okay, it's gonna be
You're
great.
at disadvantage for pretty much everything at this moment.
That's cool.
Oh, it would have been a nat 20 as well. On a 19, you look at this. Who are you doing? Sort of the guy who's in charge?
Like the main guy who's in charge.
The
Kind of
main
like,
guy. The main dude. This dude looks like
I'm like,
This guy looks like he needs some of what you're on because he doesn't look very friendly or smiling at all. He is smiling, but it's not a happy smile. It's very cold and calculated.
kind of like
sort
a
of,
drunken one-eye him. And
yeah. It does not fucking see you.
So this guy.
Yeah.
Do I know this guy?
No, you do
No,
not.
so this
know
guy that I'm looking. Yeah, so the guy who has been speaking to me and said, that I am not a captain of the guard, etc., who definitely seems more informed than the rest of the people so far. I look him right in the eye and earnestly go, I'm sorry about the deception, but I've got some very important information that I need to get to Stavros about Clarence. And if I can persuade this guy, I'd like to use my donated advantage on it.
Okay, go for it.
$17.
Okay. He looks at you and he doesn't seem particularly enamored by you. He doesn't seem to buy into too much of what you're saying, but he doesn't kill you on the spot, which is a generous gesture. That's very decent of him. He looks at Sarah and immediately sort of seems to, you see him write her off with a look, and he says, well, I'm sure you and Stavros will have plenty to speak about. Your weapons.
Yeah, sure. I hand him my quarterstaff.
He takes it, hands it off to one of the guards, and then he continues to smile, looks at you, cocks his head as if to sort of say, come now. The instruments.
Ooh, Kidoki, I gotta remember how many I've got.
Like wheel the piano towards him, like
I know, yeah, it's like the organ, the piano, the bagpipes,
double bass.
So yeah, it probably does get quite funny. So I pull out a dulcimer, I hand it to him. I pull out the pan flutes. I pull out a set of drums. You hand it over just behind him. Just behind him, you hear it like just out of sight of you, round the edge of the curtain, like you see it being passed off, and then you just hear like, and then he just turns, and the guy just like everything stops. You hear, you almost hear the shaking from behind the curtain. It's like, oh, I fucked up. Yeah, and then also my bandor I hand over as well. I mean no harm here. I'd have important information that needs to get to Stavros.
He nods. He takes the confiscated weapons of Sarah that you've taken off her already.
Oh no! I was gonna try and be like, these are just toys. They're not even real. No, just nothing.
Totally.
No. I will try to hide some of my daggers on me, though. I have 4 daggers. If I can keep one of them in a boot or something.
Sleight of hand at disadvantage.
Okay. I am the slightest.
I want a perception check back at her because I'm going to take him from her if she's doing this.
That's a 7. You get it on passive. So does he. As he takes a one look at Sarah, and he's just like Sarah. In fact, Sarah literally like she just subtly she takes the like a stiletto dagger, and she just like very coyly slips it into her boot. You hear it clang to the floor as she misses her boot, but she's like 100% sure, I have a dagger in my boot. Just because I can't feel my feet, that does not mean it's not there.
Yeah, no, I hand them these weapons that she is... I am being very...
They're covered in molasses.
What are you keeping in your...
It's sweets. She's
had
candy at some point and has been eating it with knives.
It's melted, yeah. It's all melted down there.
Kids are so gross. Yeah.
Please let this guard look over and more than the other guy who was playing the drums.
At this point, as you're handing over weapons, you have one of her daggers in hand when suddenly chaos erupts like on the other side of this partition, and you hear guards suddenly grabbing at someone, and you hear a very disgruntled, you hear a voice that you recognize. You hear the voice of the cleric yelling for them to get their hands off him. You hear a commotion, and finally, what sounds like an actual fight breaks out. What do you do as all of the guards sort of shift? The only, like, 2 of them stay, like, next to you, but all of their attention shifts as the rest of the guards move into a fight that's just broken out in the infirmary.
Would I have used all of those smelling salts on Curtis, or would I be able to salvage any of that and try to... No, okay, fuck. I'm just drunk. This is a sad, sad day. Got it.
Calvin looks at the guy who he's been trying to be so it's like,
you still have a knife.
I'm here to help. Yeah. Well, no, and I mean, I have it as though I'm handing it to him. I have it hilt toward him. I go, I can help you in a fight. Even more if you give me back just one of my instruments.
He holds his sword like towards you, but it's sort of horizontally in front of you, not sort of point to your like throat or anything. He blocks you, and he just says, "Hold right there." And just you can give me a quick perception check, because this partition is made up of sort of two.
Who can I see? Anyone who looks like they're engaged in the action.
Give me a perception check, and I'll see if you can see through the partition.
That's 13.
On a 13, you can just about see that the cleric has basically, he looks like he's been stabbed or cut in some way, and is being pinned against the wall with about 3 guards holding weapons to him, and he's just absolutely furious. There are 2 guards. It doesn't like the fight appears to have been very short-lived. 2 guards are now standing over someone in an infirmary bed. You can see his legs are kicking, as if he's going into sort of like some kind of seizure. And they're just like grabbing him, and one of them's tearing through sort of like the cupboards a similar cupboard to what Sarah went through, grabbing stuff out, and they're just like, "What do we do?" And someone yells out for it to get another cleric in here immediately.
So has the cleric been contained at this point?
It would seem so, yes.
Is the cleric fighting back? Here's what I wanted.
He's fighting back, but he's unarmed.
Here's what I wanted
magic.
to show that I'm helping. If that cleric, so I'm kind of like hold my action. If I can see the cleric, if he tries to do anything funny, I want to use cutting words, because that doesn't require an instrument to give him to take a bardic, to basically subtract a bardic inspiration against any of his rolls.
Okay, he is going to
show that I'm helping.
Oh damn! What's your bardic inspiration?
A D8.
It doesn't do a whole bunch, but luckily he didn't roll particularly well. You see him summon something that is magic in his hands, and you see like a burning white light appear, and he goes to sort of push it into the face of one of the guards, and you hear, over all the commotion, you hear a snapping sound, and there is a sudden quiet followed by the cleric screaming. And you just about see like gouts of blood coming from his elbow. It looks like his elbow has been snapped through the wrong way of that hand, as they are not taking any fucking chances with this guy. And as you're sort of peeking through, the commander of this guard group returns to you, and he draws a short blade, grabs you quite forcefully, and puts the tip of it to your throat and says, "What do you know of this?"
I know nothing. I'm sorry, wrong voice. I don't know nothing about this. I know that there is plotting happening here, that I need to get information to Stavros. I don't know who you are, sir, but I have vital information that I have got to get to Stavros. People were killed for the information that I'm carrying.
Give me a persuasion check.
I was gonna. Okay.
Come on. 16.
What were you gonna do, Tia?
I was gonna try to intimidate him.
Give me an intimidation roll at disadvantage.
Oh damn, my disadvantage.
Holy shit! Okay. So, like, he looks like he has you there. Sarah, how do you intimidate him?
I know that you can't understand how important this is with your lowly station, but you best be getting out of our way and make sure that we get this information to Stavros right now.
Calvin, you don't know where she got it from, but she has a scalpel in her hand, and she has it underneath this guy's arm. Right there, in the arm that has the blade to your throat, and he realizes that he has underestimated how drunk she is. he doesn't seem to realize that she's flinked it entirely. He suddenly realizes that maybe you guys are smarter than he gave you credit for. And he very carefully takes his hand that's grabbing sort of your scruff of your collar, holds it up, and just says, "Okay, little girl, we'll play it your way for now." And he lowers his blade. And
nicely done, Sarah. Oops, wrong voice. Told you.
Damn it, Gavin Fieldhammer.
Told you, she's a good little squire.
I know what I'm doing from time to time.
he looks at the both of
Can't
you.
hold pain medication.
Right.
But seriously, sir. Yeah.
You say lives have been lost already.
Yes. Damn it. Whenever I get serious, I always go to Gavin. I'm telling you, we are not pulling your leg here, son. We have got to get to Stavros. There is some sneakier stuff out here than a snake in a barn.
He looks at the both of you, and he looks at the both of you, says, "You'd better have some very compelling evidence." And he turns and gestures for you both to follow him as he brings two of the guards away from the commotion. They seem to have it underhand, but you hear, as you leave, someone call out that the cleric enters, and one of the guards says, "It's too late. He's already dead." As it would appear, someone has died very close by. And we're going to transition there back to the happy couple. As you arrive... Oh, it is indeed. As you arrive at this person's house, you have relayed to you, Lucy, that it would appear that chaos has erupted. You hear through Sir Richard, the cleric goes in an instant from being incredibly sort of like adamant that he's been falsely, he's essentially been framed, and then suddenly you hear him cry out in pain, and then he begins to hiss, "You can't stop this. You'll never be able to stop us," as he is taken forcibly away. And just at that moment, a lovely elven woman spots you and smiles, recognizing you from the bar. And we're going to cut there. And we're going to end there, actually, because, oh god, it's time. It's time. Okay, right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming along for the Long March. It's been an absolute blast. I've had a wonderful time. Loads of crazy stuff has happened, but the plot thickens like a vast stew. But in the meantime, we're going to shoot off here. If you don't know why, check Twitter, because we've been blowing up about it. It's Midgard. I'm going to let everyone say their things. That's me.
Oh boy. Well, my friends, that's where the Long March is ending for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all follows and donations. And thank you for watching. But stick around, because coming right up is episode 1, the premiere of the first official Midgard stream from Kobold Press, presented on Encounter Roleplay, no less. The World Tree Burns. So stick around, and in 10 minutes' time, we're going to be doing that. If you enjoyed the show, of course, hit the follow button and join us. But be sure to stick around for this next one, because it's going to be fun, and episode 1s are always great. But let's whip around the custom crew real quick. Did we enjoy ourselves? Where can we find you guys online? Josh, yourself.
You can find me on Midgard. You should do that. You can also find me on Turncloaks Pod, just having my life destroyed, an episode at a time. You can find me on Firefly and Jack 2150 something. I can never get it right, on Fridays, and you can also find me on a couple of projects we've got coming up, but I don't want to go into that now because we're Midgard.
Great stuff. Tia.
You can find me on Midgard. Thanks. See you soon.
Jess.
You can find me on Twitter at Little Cup of Joe. I will not be on Midgard, but I will be watching.
Great stuff. And Tool School.
Yeah, you can find me on Midgard, but also at Tall Squall, and there's links to all of the other stuff that I do. So be right back.
We're literally going to be on the same channel. Stick around.
And
fun, guys!
Myself, if you guys are watching, you're already here, so no need to promote anything like that. But stick around for Midgard. It's going to be fun. There's going to be a 10-minute timer countdown for the next show, and I'll be straight into the next one. So stick around, grab a drink, grab some food, get ready for the first ever Midgard stream. See you guys in a minute.